But first, veteran Congressman Mike Quigley, a senior Chicagoan on Capitol Hill. Let's get fired up. If President Trump refuses to cooperate, and he says he won't unless you House Democrats, start treating him fairly, and there are no witnesses he produces, no documents, are you stalled then? Does it just have to stop?
Well, first, I think there's a heck of a case out there already for impeachment. A second read of Mr. Mueller's report details obstruction. I think the only reason that special counsel didn't indict the president is there's a policy that they can't indict a seated president.
Well, now you're trying to impeach.
Well, that's right. No,
and the president says he's not producing witnesses. He's not.
That's right. But then he said in effect, the ball's in your court, and we can't indict. So my point is, it's certainly grounds for impeachment. But you look at what has taken place, what is already in the public's awareness. The president muscled an ally to have them investigate a political opponent. He asked the Department of Justice.
President of Ukraine.
The president of Ukraine
to investigate Joe Biden.
He enlisted the Department of Justice to do so. He has covered it up, and he's obstructed the investigation so far. So, look,
So how many articles of impeachment do you see? How many with Mueller?
Well, I think multiple counts. How do you do this? Do you obstruction under multiple levels, or do you do multiple counts? That's nuance. And I wouldn't get too caught up in process. Obviously, if the president continues to obstruct, two thoughts come to mind. I've been at this almost 3 years. It's been almost 3 years since we learned that the Russians were attacking the democratic process. They have never cooperated, so we've always had the disadvantage of them not turning over documents, not allowing people to testify or not answer certain questions.
And the strategy has worked. I mean, the strategy's been successful.
Sure. And if it weakens one article, building a case that he's committed a crime, it strengthens one that he's obstructed. But I would not get too lost on process. I would think right now there is a solid case for obstruction, and the president has committed high crimes and misdemeanors. So we move forward.
Okay. And then it goes to the Senate, and Mitch McConnell had an ad out this past week boasting that he's the guy who's going to stop you lunatic Democrats from throwing the president out of office.
You know, it's a fair point, but you have to ask yourself, if you in your heart believe someone has committed a crime, if they in effect have done it on TV, where he enlisted China's help, for example, and we're learning of more, do you say, well, we can't prove it in the Senate, so we'll just let him continue? Here's an additional reason I wouldn't let that happen. This call with Zelensky that took place in July is literally right after the special counsel, Mr. Mueller, testified.
A few hours later.
Right.
And the president felt that he was off the hook completely.
In his life, this president has never been held accountable for his actions. And when he is not held accountable, he commits a higher crime.
Okay, so what's the timetable?
I think that the investigation that we're working on, the articles could be ready by Thanksgiving or Christmas. It depends on how effective they think it is at that particular time. And
well, that's only about a month, Congressman Quigley, from when people start to vote in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina.
Should, again, I let the Senate's viewpoints, or when there's an election, a primary election, decide, or should I say, oh, because of that, we're going to let him off the hook again?
So when the president runs that internet ad that people can click on it on their Facebook page, calling this a coup, nothing short of a coup was the language. What's your response?
The Constitution has been used per its letter to file articles of impeachment and move forward on an impeachment process. It's in the Constitution. It's not a coup. And when the president says words like coup or calls the after effects a civil war, he is inciting, he is acting as if he is above the law, and it's extraordinarily dangerous. If anything, we have followed the letter of the law. And the whistleblower in this particular action involving Ukraine, the president's appointment to be the director of national intelligence said the whistleblower followed the rules. And the inspector general said a Trump-appointed inspector general, said the whistleblower has done the right thing and followed the rules. The president is the one who hasn't followed the rules.
Let me ask you this. You're one of the key people on this House Intel Committee, chaired by Adam Schiff, who the president calls Shifty Schiff.
I'm waiting for my nickname, by the way.
What would you like?
I don't know. I'd have to go back to 6th or 7th grade to remember.
Maybe from your hockey days.
Yeah, sure.
But were you there when Adam Schiff, the president says that he met with the whistleblower, the first whistleblower, and helped to prepare this document, the complaint?
That is not true. It is among the 10,000 falsehoods this president has put forward. My understanding is the whistleblower came to the committee, as often happens, and
but not to Schiff,
not to the chairman, and the staff told him, you need to get counsel and you need to go to the inspector general.
So did Schiff meet with him?
No.
Did you meet with him?
Never. I don't know who the whistleblower.
What about the second whistleblower now?
Right. We are hearing the same thing that you are, and at this point in time, given our concerns for the protection of all whistleblowers, it's not something we can comment on. At this point, my primary concern is the whistleblower's protection, and second, how important the whistleblower system is. We know in Chicago and Illinois, without whistleblowers, two bad things happen. Leaks happen, and in the intel world, that's really bad, and violations of the law go unpunished. We never even hear about them.
So, Congressman, are we going to see this whistleblower? Will he testify in public? Will we ever meet him or her?
I think any rational person who's sitting where the whistleblower is, who's been found credible, by the way, by the president's appointees, would have a right to fear for their own safety.
That sounds like no.
I wouldn't, if I was the whistleblower, I would not want to appear in public. The President of the United States calling them treasonous, calling them traitors, and you know what we do with treasonous traitors? That is inciting violence, and I believe part of his base is capable of that violence.
All right, we're going to take a quick break when we come. Congressman Mike Quigley of the House Intelligence Committee, a North Side Democrat. The Kurds, thousands of Kurds were killed fighting with American forces to wipe out the ISIS caliphate. Your thoughts now as Turkey moves in and is killing them and Syrian Christians?
As important an ally as we've had battling ISIS, for the president to suggest that ISIS was no longer a threat is just wrong and particularly dangerous. It is the impulsive quality of this decision that scares us most. What else could he do elsewhere? It is horrific what's taking place with our allies. It is almost as horrific that our country is going to lose the trust it has with our allies.
So what does that mean? What do you mean by that?
Why should anybody else count on us? You know, I reminded at FDR's last inaugural, he said something that strikes us today. He quoted Emerson. He said, we reminded that to have a friend, you need to be one. We are safer in this country because we have allies who not only help us militarily, but they give us critical information on an intelligence basis that keeps us safe. Why should anyone trust us anymore?
Well, the president, so he's ending the endless wars.
If there is a plan, as he began this administration, to end the endless wars, it is a process that you work through with intelligence, our allies, the military, to shift responsibility.
So your complaint is there's no plan.
There's no plan, and there's no process, and all of a sudden you say, we're out of here, and Kurds are massacred. The whole
balance of power. There's a lot of ISIS captives. There's thousands.
Tens of thousands of ISIS captives are now loose. You have made the country less safe. You have, in a number of ways, by betraying the trust that we have. Fewer people will trust us in the future, and you have just opened up the prison to the most dangerous people in the world.
So let me ask you about this. Republicans in particular want a vote now on the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. You're not ready to vote for it?
I supported President Obama's proposal for a trade deal. I am a pro-trade Democrat. There is a process these things go forward. So I, in good faith, say, let's finish that process. I'm not against a trade deal.
Canada and Mexico, I thought we had finished the deal. I thought the president had a signing ceremony.
Look, I'm not saying it's years away. I think it's imminent, but there's still some things that have to be approved.
What?
And details in this in which we simply haven't got enough information and confirmation about details that matter to all of us.
Well, there's hundreds of thousands of jobs at stake. Give us two details you want nailed down.
Exactly.
Here in Illinois, hundreds of thousands of trade-related jobs.
Sure, and I'm willing to support it. The same concerns that people had about all trade deals. Have we locked in the concerns protecting human rights? Have we locked in concerns protecting the environment and labor issues? You know, show us all those protections and the details of how this works, and I'll be supportive.
I know some of the labor issues. Mexico has to pay, I think, auto workers at least. They have to pay a certain amount of money.
Look, all I am saying is this is an administration that we have seen in recent days, not weeks, impulsively change things at the last second. When I see the final deal and it meets those standards, I'm likely to support it. It's not that I don't trust them. It's just that I don't trust them.
Right now we're between massacres. The president, some of your Republican colleagues have suggested that they want to reduce these giant magazines that some of the mass murderers have used. One of them, I think, had 250 rounds in it. Maybe put a cap on that. Maybe do something about AR-15 type weapons. Is that going to go forward, or is that just dead?
I think if they want to move this forward, then sincere, it can go forward. Gun control measures have already passed the House. I was in the Supreme Court when we argued the Chicago gun case. And when you read that opinion, they said there's a Second Amendment right, but it's not unlimited. And they question whether anybody should be able to get any kind of gun they want and have it anywhere. Obviously, they're talking about weapons designed for a theater of war. When you have a 100-round magazine and it's an assault weapon, you're not protecting your home. You're not hunting deer. You're hunting people. So there's no issue on the Democratic side. We were ready a long time ago to pass this.
Well, is something going to emerge, do you think? Are there serious conversations taking place?
It is in Mr. McConnell's lap. Legislation has already passed the House. Much more will pass in a moment.
We got 30 seconds left. So for those who say you guys are just so obsessed with impeaching Donald Trump that you're not doing anything else, what do you say?
We've passed dozens of bills out of the House. Mr. McConnell has proudly said that he is the Grim Reaper, killing all of them. You want to meet in the middle? We're glad to meet in the middle. We want to get things done. The House passed all its spending before the Senate even took up one. We can work together. We can do more than one thing at a time.
All right, Congressman Mike.